about how we can prepare ourselves for the future. Aloha, Lily, Edith. Aloha, E. Freezy, Mama, Shelly. Today we're talking about Hurricane Lala, just giving a quick update and especially why community matters in these times and outside of these times, but it also gets me to thinking about how we should be prepared with other streams of income. Not too long ago, a few years ago, we just celebrated the 3 years since we had the major Lahaina fires that basically burnt down the entire town, displacing over 2,000 people on Maui, which we have a small island, so it's a lot of people. But the aftermath, I think nobody was prepared for. There was limited food, people didn't have shelter, and then people didn't have income. So I think that's something big to think about, especially when we go through things like natural disasters, or we just had a hurricane come through Hawaii and damaged different places here. And a lot of people, schools were closed. So if you had to go to work, but your kids are off school, then you had to kind of rush and figure it out. If you couldn't go back to work because things are closed down because of the hurricane and you're not on salary, you also had to think like, oh, shoot, I didn't get paid today. So I think in these times, it really makes me want to just bring to light the fact of why multiple streams of income is necessary in anyone's life, because things could happen out of your control that you weren't prepared for. So some big things that you can do right away, anybody can do right now, is open up a high yield savings account. And all you'd have to do is put your money that's in a regular savings account earning 0.01% or less into a high yield savings account so it can add 3 or 4% interest. So it's not a huge amount, but it's something small that you can do today that not many people know about or think about. And I only found out about high yield savings accounts, I think within the last year. It wasn't really my concentration. My full concentration was investing in real estate. So I focused on that. And that's a big ticket item, right? I replaced my active income. I was able to quit my job, became a millionaire through real estate investing. But there's other more simple ways that beginners can get started or do that not a lot of people talk about or even know about. So this is what I try to bring to light on my channel, because I realized too, today's real estate market is way different from when I first started. So we're kind of bringing it back to the foundations, bringing it back to simple things you could do with your money to help it grow more than it is right now. So if you have any questions about that, put it in the chat about investing, real estate, finances. Come on, guys. Questions. Oh, yeah. Someone said, wow, that's tough. Yeah, there's a lot of things happening. I mean, all over the world, in even different countries, different states. So I think for me, for those who are just joining, we're talking about Hurricane Lala, some updates from Hawaii. We're talking about real estate, investing, and really just community, because I wouldn't be where I am today. Everybody says, or a lot of people say they're self-made, and that's true. Maybe they're self-driven and where they got themselves to was because their own actions, but there was some people around you that you either learned from, you grew from. Maybe you joined a coaching program or mentorship. Maybe it was an online community, joining lives like this or following other people and staying within that circle that helped you get to where you're at today. So a quick heads up too, unless you comment and say hello or put where you're from, I can't really um, see you guys because I'm on a desktop on some of the platforms. So below, if you could put where you're from, if you have any questions. Hey, Junior, Nyla, Nohe, Aloha, Ashley. So first, I hope everybody, especially if you're in Hawaii, is okay from Hurricane Lala. I know this one hit differently, hit different islands differently, hit different areas. Like right now, for me, hallelujah, I am safe in Pukalani. This entire time I've had electric, we've had internet service, so phone service, more importantly. We're already stocked with food because of previous hurricanes. And for those who are not in Hawaii, they kind of happen maybe a few times a year. We've already have all of our wireless, what's it called, like flashlights, generators. We have an ice machine. We have everything kind of laid out and we're ready, prepared for it. But luckily we didn't. Nothing bad happened. And usually there's some big flooding that happens in front of our house, but this time we didn't really get that. So that was good. We could still leave our homes. But I know for others on Maui and across Hawaii, there was huge flooding across the roads where they couldn't get out. My sister and brother-in-law are on Maui too, but they're in an area where they still don't have power or water. So prayers to those, and especially on the Big Island. I think they were hit a lot with the storms. So praying for everybody there that you get home safe. And, all we can do is after the storms hit, the damages are done, is work together as a community and help those in need. I think especially in Hawaii, that happens a lot when after the storm's done, we band together, we try to volunteer, donate, help wherever we can. So if you were affected, put in the chat kind of where you're from, what's going on. We kind of want to know, send extra prayers out there. Or if there's resources or help, we can maybe put them in the chat and work together as a community too. Hope your families are okay. And if you're not in Maui and not experiencing these hurricanes, we hope we're safe wherever you are. But I think this just brings us back to is like whenever we get busy doing our own thing, it's kind of a good reminder to check in on your neighbors, your friends, your network. I had people texting me who I haven't heard from, I don't know, in over a decade that were just checking on my safety. So that was nice. And other people that I haven't talked to in a while. It's nice to hear from them because we often get caught up in whatever we're doing. And that's why I do these lives too, is because even though, we have a lot of assets, we've built wealth, and we have multiple streams of income, it's good to just take it back to the basics and remind other people maybe who are just getting started, other people who are living paycheck to paycheck, other people who are just trying to find a different path, that there are, everybody was a beginner at some point. And if there's a little tip that I could give you today while you're on this live that could help you either save money or make more money by doing simple things that isn't a huge stretch of out of what you're already doing, that is my goal. That's my goal with these lives. So, if you are on Maui too, just a big reminder that we are having a Maui meetup this Friday. So I know it's Statehood Day in Hawaii. A lot of people might be off, but it's going to be Friday, 6 p.m. It's free and open to the public in Maui, upcountry. So you can message me the word meetup if you need the link to register. And it's from 6 to 8. And this is really where you get to just gather together. We're networking. So if you're a beginner or you're advanced, like this is where you can just meet other people. And there's not going to be a pitch. It's not going to be like sign up for this next. It's just kind of come out with us, hang out, drink, have snacks, talk about real estate, ask any questions. And this is actually where experienced investors, a lot of them like to come because it's you're not trying to teach people anything. And when you're first starting out in investing, you are trying to learn, right? But experienced people already know this stuff. So this is going to be a great place to and great event to meet people who are already experienced that want to just hang out and network, because you never know where the next opportunity is going to come from and or who it's going to come from. And I can tell you at one of my first meetups, maybe it was like I had been posting on the internet for a while, but maybe my second meetup that I ever went to, I met one of my private lenders there who lent me over $500,000. So there are lenders there, there's people with deals there. We just had one of a couple of my partners came from going to these meetups. So I love meeting people on the internet and online, but meeting people in person is a whole different feel, and you get more of a sense of who they are, what they want to achieve. And also you kind of want to align with what your beliefs are too. Like a lot of people don't realize this though in business is it's so important to, especially if you're going to partner with people or do projects together or even invest together, you want to be on the same page on how you react to things, talk about, challenges that may come, because it's all good. It's all butterflies and rainbows when you're talking about profit, how much money you're going to make, the potential. But there's two sides to any business. And even being an entrepreneur, there's times where business is going to be slow. There's times where, unexpected costs come up. Who's going to pay for what? Or if you're lending to people, just making sure that those, asking the questions that, uh, maybe on your mind about like, hey, what if something happens with the project and you don't make money? Am I still going to get my money back? Because that's key in any kind of lending situation when you get into this business. But I also feel like community plays a big part in whenever you do get into these challenges, having people to ask, having people, especially who are experienced, to be able to rely on to get their advice. But let's check the chats. Hanai, hey Hanai, Aisha. If you guys have any questions about real estate, investing, community, put it in the chat below. My focus was real estate, but I honestly do these lives to help more beginners get started. And like I mentioned, if there's any little tip you can walk away from that will help you save more money or make more money without doing much different, then that's the goal. So we had, let's see. Any recommendations or advice for someone new starting a short-term rental? Yes. So do you already own that rental, Mr. Para? Mr. Para? Write in the chat if you already own the rental. So if you already own a rental and you're getting started and you want to do short-term rentals, that means, okay, wait, let's start from the beginning then. My focus isn't short-term rentals. I mostly do long-term rentals. And more recently, I've gotten into commercial real estate. So We own 2 RV parks with partners, an office building, and our equity partners in a few apartment buildings. So that's where my focus is now. I do not really focus on short term rentals because I'm in Hawaii, and here the regulations are super strict and always changing. So keep that in mind. The number one thing, if you want to get into short term rentals, is looking in a market or a city where there hasn't been much changes in the regulations in the short term rental space. You also want to look for you want to look to see if it is, what's it called? If there's a lot of demand for it in that area. So you want to look for a city that doesn't, demand might be number one. Then two, look for if there's been any regulations on them in the last, I would say 10 years. And if they allow it, and in the last 10 years, there hasn't been much regulations, or there's not going to be regulations, because there's also cities that had not had any changes in short term rentals until recently, where the city finally was like, okay, we got to put a ban on this and that. So just know going into it that with short term rentals, it's a lot more risky unless you're in an area like, I know there's like Smoky Mountains, there's different areas in Florida, some huge changes that happen when they don't allow short term rentals is that now you have to be prepared for the rental income of a long term rental. So, say you're banking, you buy a short term rental, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is, with their P&L, their profit and loss statement, they're projected to make $10,000 a month, or they have consistently made that, but then you only can rent it out as a long-term rental for $1,000. Okay, what is your mortgage going to be? Like, what are your expenses? And I would say to run it as a long-term rental if it would work out first that way. And then if you do have the option to short-term rental, then you could do that as well. So there's just different ways to look at rental properties or investments, but you always want to have multiple strategies. Even if you're fix and flipping, you want to have, or fixing up and selling, you want to have ran the numbers. That means like analyzed it to see, okay, would this also work as a long-term rental? Because say the house doesn't sell, the market dips or whatever, and maybe you have to sell it at a loss, but you don't want to. So you decide to then keep it as a rental. Will the numbers work, and for how long? So these are just some things, some tips for those getting started in looking for rental properties, as an extra stream of income, or if you want active income, you're fixed and flipping. Even short-term rentals, if you're going to manage it yourself, it's a lot more active. And so for me, if I were to go that route, I would prefer it to be somewhere close to me so that I have more of a handle and I know what the market is doing right then and there versus, so far away. Unless you have partners, right? There's different situations where it would work, or you have a really great team, especially a property management team is going to make all the difference. So any questions, put them in the chat. It could be about finances, real estate, investing. Um, for those in Maui, I'm just going to announce it again. For those hopping on, we are having a Maui meetup, casual networking this Friday, 6, did I say what time? 6 to, I got to get back to the website. 6 to 8 p.m. upcountry. So if you are in Maui and you want to come on Friday, message me the word meetup and I can send you the link. And it's free, open to the public. Or if you know anybody in Maui that might want to go, please share with them to message me. So let me see. Mr. Parr, yes, we own the rental. So if you already own a rental and you're trying to make it into a short-term rental, That's what I would say. The same thing that I said before is check the regulations, make sure it works as a long-term rental as well as a short-term rental. And the biggest thing is learning all the programs like Airbnb. Uh, I think it's VRBO. There's several websites. Like I said, I don't really focus on that, but there is potential to make a lot more money that way. So depending on your expenses, like how much money you owe on the property, like what is your mortgage payment, and all of that, there is a huge kind of upside to doing that strategy in the right area. Hey, Elvis, Joy, Will. Hey, Martina. Is anyone else in a community or has had a connection that led to like a breakthrough or a great opportunity? There's any realtors or people in real estate that are hopping on? Thank you to those who gave gifts on TikTok. Thank you so much. Appreciate going live on here. And please like this live and share it as well with anybody that has talked about real estate, talked about investing, maybe talked about different financial opportunities that you think would benefit them or they might have questions about. Let's see. Oh, okay. Thank you, Three Diamonds, for the gift. Don. So I think this just brings up like why meeting people is so important and meeting the right people, getting in a different circle of people. I think, especially because I live on Maui, it was always hard for me to go to bigger events or attend bigger conferences because one, it was really expensive to fly to Maui from Maui anywhere. I mean, you guys know how expensive it is to fly here, but flying out of here is also expensive. But there's not too many things happening here that present opportunities like there is in other states. So getting to know people online and then meeting them in person or even people in your community, like I mean Oprah lives here. So there's a lot of people that maybe have money and have opportunities that are in your community, you just don't know them. So getting out to these different meetups or business meetings or opportunities that people are doing things. There's so many meetings for free. I think eBright, I think. Even Facebook, I always go on Facebook events and kind of go look what's happening in my area. Normally, for a lot of us parents, we do that for our kids to just kind of see what we can take them to. But there's many other opportunities, business opportunities where you can go and meet up with people. And a lot of times it is a pitch fest. Like you don't know them, so you have to kind of talk about what you do or what you're looking for. But there are a lot of opportunities that happen through those conversations. So before even going to a meetup, try to think clearly about, okay, what is my goal with going to this meetup? But then also think about how you can help the other person there. Like if there is some kind of value add, maybe you are good at construction and you can offer those services, or maybe you are in a coaching program or in some sort of program that could help someone else with whatever they're going through, or you have a relationship with a someone who always writes grants, and then you go there and you find out there's this person that's opening up a nonprofit and you can connect them. So oftentimes just connecting people may lead, like that adds so much value because people don't know, especially when you're looking for a referral, a lot of people have to spend so much time going through all these lists of potential, let's just say like contractors, right? Like if I'm building a house or I have to do a renovation, like there's so many people that I had to go through to get the right person for that job. But if they have a referral, it saves them so much time and people appreciate that. So just even something like that, it doesn't have to be physical, a monetary way to contribute or give back to the other person. You may know, a really good realtor or someone who might want to sell their house and they're looking for a realtor. You meet one at the meetup, you put them together, they make money. Now that person is always going to think of you when it comes to something that you may need. So now it's like, okay, what do you need now? So just think about that whenever you are networking and just even in life in general, because oftentimes we get caught up in our own, like what our goals are and what we're trying to achieve, that we really don't think about not necessarily helping other people, but just like think about what their needs are too. So don't just stay home, get out there, get out into the public, get out into the open. I know ever since COVID, we're so used to doing everything online and how much easier it is because you don't got to drive anywhere. But every once in a while, it is good to do in person meetings, go to events that maybe you haven't been to before that might present an opportunity for you. And really, it's all about connecting because, like I mentioned before, there's a lot of great people out there. There's a lot of not so great people out there. But in order to get to those people, you kind of got to go through everyone else. But some of the best opportunities I've gotten has been through these conferences, going to meetups, and especially through the coaching program that I was in. And then now we have our own coaching program where we only let in like-minded people. Like you have to have that abundance mindset. You can't be scared or weary to share things or share deals, share your experiences, or even things that you're looking to invest in, and be scared like, oh my gosh, somebody else is going to take this deal from me. Most likely not. I mean, we would hope not, but the people that we invite into our circle are people that are rooting for others and trying to help them get ahead. Okay. Let's go on YouTube. Aloha Vows, Cali Guy, Storm Damage. Yeah, we didn't really get much, and our rentals were okay, luckily. But yes, prayers to all those affected by Hurricane Lala. And for those who are still going through it, let us know if you need resources. I know there's a lot of, this is where, like I mentioned in the beginning of this live, where It's really about community and coming together. And we see that a lot of times, especially after these natural events that is out of our control. Also said, how much is there to do, generally speaking? How much is there to do, generally speaking, involved with partnering on a deal? So when you partner with someone, there's different ways. And this maybe we're talking about in the realm of real estate. So for this, those who are just joining, if you have any real estate, financial, um, wealth building, anything questions, put them in the chat. I'm not a licensed realtor, loan officer, or anything like that. Just sharing from my personal experience. But typically, when you partner on a deal, say uh, someone has a neighbor who wants to sell their house and maybe they want to be the one to renovate it, but they just don't have the money. And maybe Vols, you have the money to fix it up and purchase it and all of that. Then you can come together and decide who does what. So if you're the money person, you make sure the payments are done. You can coordinate with escrow. You have all the documents written up, all the legal side of things. That would be your responsibility. And financial. So even like when you are doing a renovation, there's still monthly costs like electric, water, sewer, things like that. Maybe you purchase the property and you have to pay off the taxes. So there's a lot that goes into keeping track of the finances during a project. And then there could be the other person could be in charge of the renovations, maybe coordinating the contractors, not necessarily doing the work themselves, but I mean, if they can do some of the work to help save money, then maybe they also do that. They would also be in charge of like the construction timeline and making sure things are on schedule when it comes to the project management. So you basically, how most people do partnerships is you have the person bringing all the money and then the person that is managing the project. Does that answer your question, Vols? There's many ways where you could chop up the responsibilities, or maybe someone qualifies for a bank loan and then raises the rest of the money that's needed for the project. And then the other person does the renovation portion, maybe lists the property. Maybe they're also a realtor. So they can, you can save on commission costs there. So there's multiple ways, just depending on what value you bring or they bring or what your agreement is. But yeah, most people, it's somebody brings all the money or is in charge of the money or the payments or raising the money. So when I say bring the money, homes here go for $1 million. It's highly unlikely that there's going to be one person that brings $1 million. So, but that person can either qualify for the loan from the bank, the loan from the hard money lender, using their experience, and then also, or raise the money from other private investors. And when I say private investors, a lot of people think like, oh, I don't know anybody with all this money. Like, I can't, it's how would I even do that? Well, like I said, there's private investors that go to meetups. There's private investors that are in your everyday circle. Like it's not this mysterious group of people. When I say private investors, those are just everyday people that have money that invest with you. Now, this could be your friend. It could be a family member too, or family members, friends. But majority of the time, it may be people that are just know you and want to invest with you because they have money in their savings, their retirement, or some kind of other investment opportunity like stocks or crypto, and they want to diversify. So they want to start private lending. But until they're educated about it, they don't even know that it's an option. So that's why I share so much on social media, is to educate people on what it is. It is still an investment. Every investment is a risk, but there is potential for them to diversify and potentially make more money that way. more interest through lending. Hey, Kim, Avi. Well, thank you guys so much for hopping on. If this live brought any value, please like it. And please join me if you're on Maui on Friday for the Maui meetup. You could meet another, if you're looking for money, if you are looking for deals and have money, if you have been just wanting to start getting to real estate or getting into investing and you just nobody else in your circle, your family, friends is talking about it or wants to talk about it or even knows about it because they've never done it before, then this is the place to be. Go to meetups, go to events that people are talking about it, because you don't have to know everything to come to these meetups. We just really have it to talk story, network. And like I said, you never know what what value you could bring, what connection you could bring an experienced person to then get your foot in the door to maybe their next opportunity. And really, I feel like a lot of business in general is relationship driven, because you also, like when it comes to the service industry, we all know, when I'm talking about service, like plumbers, electricians, even contractors, like, or construction industry, then I would say. But the cheapest person isn't always going to be the best person to work with or hire, or might cost you more in the end. So I think even if you think that you don't bring much value, you never know, what idea might spark with you, idea would spark with them. And when the right people get into the same room, that's where these opportunities are created. So it's free for everyone. Just bring yourself, bring a friend, any questions you have. If you're on Maui, again, this is on Maui. Uh, and these are the virtual free meetups that we do, would be just these lives. But I want to just leave you with some final words. Um, if you've always said, like, I need to start this investing thing, or I need to get my finances together, or I need to start networking, like, this is your chance, right? Go, and even if you're not on Maui, go and look on Facebook events or eBright or whatever those other sites, even Google, Chat GPT, like what's some of the best meetups about finances or investing or real estate that I need to go to in my local area, and then go to one of them. Like, make that your goal. It's already August. We're almost to the end of the year, but make it your goal to meet at least 5 new people and get out of your comfort zone, because that's the only way that you're going to change. It's the only way that you're going to spark a new idea, is getting around people who are thinking different. And when I was working my engineering job, I was never the person who was going to be like, yeah, I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to make it. I'm going to start my own business. No, it wasn't until I had a deeper reason why I couldn't attend my kids' appointments because I ran out of vacation. I didn't have PTO, so I couldn't take off work. And that really lit a fire to me of why it's so important to be an entrepreneur, to create your own business, to create your own streams of income that can help you get to the next step. So with that, follow me on here, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, for more real estate investing and kind of local community conversations. So take care of each other, check on your people, and I'll see everybody who's on Maui on Friday. We hope.